The US economy shrinks by over 30%. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I thought we'd have a look at this article that was sent to me by a viewer discussing, well, the US economy shrinking by over 30%. So I suggest you put a bit of schnapps into your Steiner coffee, guys, or, add a bit of rum to your espresso, and let's jump in and have a look at this one. Because as he said in sending this to me, we are literally watching history in the making. And before we get to this, before we go and have a look at this article, we'll jump over here and we'll see the headline on Trading Economics. US economy shrinks at a record 32.9%. But we'll look at the Nasdaq. Oh, look at that, over 10,900. And Dow Jones Industrial average is at 26,000. And the time in New York right now is 5:32 p.m. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens on Monday now that this data has come out. And it's actually, no, hang on, wait. It's 5:32 p.m. yesterday, so it's still Thursday over there. So we'll have to see what the opening of the market will be like in the US. Maybe I should do a late night live stream where we watch the opening of the market. Sometimes they can be enjoyable. Sometimes I'm just too tired. Frankly, it depends on the kids, on how much they run ragged today. We'll have to see. I'll let you know. Let me know in the comments if you'd be keen. I'll try and organize it. I'm doing okay now, but I probably just got an espresso buzz. So the US economy shrinks at a record 32.9 pace in the second quarter. The US economy suffered its sharpest downturn since at least the 1940s in the second quarter, highlighting how the pandemic has ravaged businesses across the country and left millions of Americans out of work. I mean, this is a game-changing moment that we're in, everyone. This period that we're going through is going to go down in the history books. It will definitely be recorded in the history books. And we'll have to see. It'll be interesting, You always wondered, what was it like living through the Great Depression? What was it like living through these great moments? I'm concerned with, well, the political ramifications of these dire economic changes that are being forced upon all of us in the world. I'm quite concerned where the world can pivot. I'm hoping there'd be a greater drive for individual responsibility and control, but I'm concerned that we're going to head the other way. More authoritarian, limitation of personal liberties, and I think people will be lining up and cheering for it. So GDP shrank 9.5% in the second quarter from the first, a drop that equates to an annualized pace of 32.9%, the Commerce Department's internal estimates showed on Thursday. That's the steepest annualized decline in quarterly records dating back to 47, and compares with analyst estimates for a 34.5 contraction. Personal spending, which makes up about 2/3 of GDP, slumped an annualized 34.6%, also the most on record. So here's the question: since personal spending is driving down, are we going to see the Federal Reserve start issuing more money? More money? Is this the hidden secrets of money starting to play out, everyone? The figures lay bare the extent of the economic devastation that's resulted from the government-ordered shutdowns and stay-at-home orders designed to slow the spread of the pandemic that abruptly brought a halt to the longest-running expansion. Was it the longest-running expansion, or was it a bubble? That's the question. A lot of people are saying it's expansion, the economy's going well, but it could have been just an inflated bubble, much like our housing sector here in Australia. While employment, spending, and production have improved since reopenings picked up in May, and massive federal stimulus reached Americans, a recent surge in infections has tempered the pace of recovery. And what we'll do is we'll jump over here to have a look at this graph. So US GDP plunged 32.9% in the second quarter amid the pandemic-induced shutdown. I mean, have a look at that, guys. I mean, there's the look at the other recessions that they had. Look at the 80s. Look at the GFC. Look at that. People think there's going to be a V-shaped recovery. I'm going to have a chat with John Adams today. He's coming on the show. And one of the questions I want to talk to him about is that some people still think it's all going to bounce back. I don't understand how that's possible. People can assume that. But, it could just be probably the broader section of the community that he talks to. I'm reading the news here and I'm talking to people in the construction game. So others are doing okay. Or when I ring up to people, yeah, we're okay now, but that pipeline is getting quiet. Could just be the exposure. We'll have to see. I mean, it's starting to disappear in the media, isn't it? We're not seeing it as much. So that surge, the result of America's failure to contain the pandemic, indicates that the US economy is likely to recover more slowly than places that have done a better job, such as the euro area. And the longer the pandemic lasts without a vaccine, the longer economic output will remain below pre-crisis levels, leaving permanent scars on many businesses and workers. And that's the real worry, everyone. The scarring to the economy. The portion of the workforce that are just going to give up or that are not going to be able to get back in. The skills that people have acquired that are going to be useless. That's going to have a long-term impact. We already know that activity rebounded strongly in May and June, setting the stage for a strong rise in GDP in the third quarter, Andrew Hunter, senior US economist at Capital Economics, said in a note. Nevertheless, with the more recent resurgence in virus cases starting to weigh on the economy in July, a continued V-shaped recovery is unlikely. I don't think it was a V-shaped recovery. I think if anything, it was a dead cat bounce. It was the share market was stimulated by money printing and, throwing money at the market. Part of that was also to do with retail investors that are gambling on the market, piling in, putting their stimulus checks right into the market. We can see it here in the Robinhood data. What do you think, guys? You think, is that a valid argument? Do you think we really had the beginnings of a V-shaped recovery, or was it just a dead cat bounce? People were getting this money literally dropped from the sky, manna from heaven, and rather than store it away or use it for something sensible, they just chucked it away. And that's one thing to realize. If people get money for nothing, they don't appreciate it. If they get anything for nothing, they don't appreciate it as much as if they have to hand over some money. This is a lesson my father taught me years ago. He was actually, in his story time, segue guys, he was actually interested in beekeeping. In his previous marriage, he'd lived out in, at that time was more acreage in Victoria, and he got into beekeeping. And I've actually found, now that he passed, I found an old book he had on beekeeping. It sounds very interesting. And, he'd advertise for people to come and take bees away because he wanted to get bees and queens to start nests. No one took it up. Then he put a price tag on it, a fee. He charged people, $50 or $20. Then people were jumping at it. They were jumping at it. Same thing, we ran networking events. It'd be for free drinks. You get 100 people sign up, half of them wouldn't turn up. You put a $5 price tag on it, you get less people sign up, but more people turn up. It's the same thing. And we're seeing that they're just chucking the money at the market to play with it, take a punt, gamble on it, because, it's free money. They don't care. Maybe. So jobless claims. A separate report Thursday showed the number of Americans filing for unemployment benefits increased for a second straight week. Initial claims through regular state programs rose to 1.43 million in the week ending July 25, up 12,000 from the prior week, the Labor Department said. There were 17 million Americans filing for ongoing benefits through those programs in the period ending July 18, up 867,000 from the prior week. U.S. stocks fell the most in a week after the data releases, and yields on 10-year treasuries declined. While the economic restart has helped put 7.5 million Americans back to work in May and June, combined payrolls are down more than 14.5 million from their pre-pandemic peaks. The swift deterioration in the economy and jobs market explains why the Federal Reserve is keeping its benchmark rate pinned near zero, and why it rolled out several emergency lending programs geared towards fostering liquid trading conditions in financial markets. We've seen some signs in recent weeks that the increase in virus cases and the renewed measures to control it are starting to weigh on economic activity, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said at a news conference. Wednesday after the central bank's two-day policy meeting. On balance, it looks like the data are pointing to a slowing in the pace of recovery, though it is still too soon to say how large or sustained this period would be, he said. So they don't know. They don't know how much of a hit it's going to take. But this is, annualized to 32.9% decline in the GDP, guys. That'd be a pretty significant move in their economy. With the election only 3 months away, American voters will have to decide whether to re-elect President Donald Trump to a second term against a backdrop of the virus-induced recession and his response to the health crisis. The second quarter contraction was broad-based, the GDP release showed. Business investment in structures, equipment, and intellectual property slumped an annualized 27%, the steepest slide since '52, while residential investment dropped at a 38.7% rate, the most seen since 1980. More recent figures have shown a pickup in home sales as Americans take advantage of record low mortgage rates. The pandemic's toll on household spending for services was breathtaking, a 43.5% annualized slide during the quarter, subtracting nearly 23 percentage points from GDP. Meanwhile, outlays for goods took away 2.1 percentage points. And we can jump to this chart here, and you can see, there you go, guys. This is not normal. This is not just your normal average recession. And here, I've been, people are saying, Florian, it's depression. And I know there's no, there's no technical term for depression. But if you want to say it's going to be, if you're considering a depression, a prolonged and severe recession, if that's your definition of it, then bloody oath, we're heading towards that, guys. And how they're going to dig us out. And this is the problem with the interventionists. They create the problem, and to fix the problem, they make it worse. But have they made the problem so big there's no way out of it? So, after passage in late March of the CARES Act, the largest US stimulus package in modern history, government spending and investment increased an annualized 2.7% as non-defense outlays surged at a 39.7% pace, the most since the Vietnam War in '67. However, state and local spending declined at a 5.6% pace amid plummeting tax revenues. The report also showed inventories subtracted nearly 4 percentage points from GDP, while trade added 0.7 percentage points. The quarterly profile of the economy, as shown by the GDP report, paints a much different picture than monthly data. As shutdowns gradually lifted and states began to reopen, economic activity stirred back to life in May and June, just not to the levels seen before the pandemic. Millions of people heading back to work, and Americans ventured out of their homes to spend again at newly reopened stores and restaurants. Bolstered by relief payments and unemployment benefits, retail sales rebounded near pre-pandemic levels, and consumer spending surged by the most on record in May, though still came in short of the February levels. The economy's outlook. The rebound in activity will largely be captured in the third quarter figures, which won't be released until October 29, just days before Election Day. But the surge in virus cases has led the economic recovery to stall for several weeks as consumers hold back on spending and traveling amid continued layoffs, according to Bloomberg Economics Recovery Tracker. We'll have to look at that recovery tracker in another video, everyone. Crucial lifelines in the pandemic, like the extra $600 in weekly unemployment benefits, are expiring at a time when the economic recovery is showing signs of tittering. Well, was it really a recovery? Was it really a recovery? Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Here people are talking about a recovery here in Australia, but there's still so much intervention and so much stimulus, so much debt that's being incurred by the government to prop everything up. We can't really say we've hit the trough until that's removed. Lawmakers are currently debating another stimulus package to support businesses and the unemployed. But the timing of the bill is unclear. Support from Congress has buoyed the economy in recent months, and further action will be crucial in determining the path of the recovery. This is the first estimate for three for the second quarter figures, and the figures will likely be revised over the next 2 months as the Bureau of Economic Analysis receives further data. So there we have it. everyone. Most certainly history in the making. A dramatic fall in GDP in the US. What effect do you think that's going to have on their economy over there, on their election results? Do you think this will sway the election? Will the silent majority back Trump? Or will we get a Bernie president over there? I mean, no, it's not Bernie Sanders. It's Joe Biden. I can't tell the difference anymore with the policies. Can you blame me? Let me know your thoughts and opinions, guys. Do you think this is a real recovery, or are we starting to see the reality of the economic lockdowns manifest in the economy there? And I mean, just the huge hit to GDP. How do you think this is going to affect Australia, international trade? And what are you doing to prepare? As always, please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, guys. Have a great day. I will see you in the next episode.